We the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power. Never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs. Support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees. Triple 10. 3 PhDs. Now we on the CNN. DBTV. Let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear. Half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to the Black Financial Channel, theblackfinancialchannel.com. I'm here down in Florida, but I thought that I would pop in real quick and give you guys some updates on a story that I found really interesting. It's developing. It's one that is worth following because it's going to affect a lot of your investments. A lot of you guys that are in my stock market investing program, you're invested in Amazon stock. Amazon's been a well-run company, a high flyer, even amongst the pandemic issues, but they're dealing with a big issue of their own. They're dealing with an issue of workplace safety that's become quite a talking point in light of the pandemic situation, and now it's getting to the point where their shareholders, I think a collective group of about $4.2 billion worth of stock has come together. Shareholders vote with their dollar bills. So a group that owns about $4.2 billion worth of the company has come together to express their concern about Amazon's safety and health issues, and they're going to bring them up at the shareholders meeting, which is going to be online. Now, what is interesting, though, is I'm really curious to see how much this really moves the needle for Amazon, how much this affects them. $4.2 billion is a lot of money in itself, but Amazon's total market value is $1.22 trillion, right? So it's like comparing $1,200 to $4, right? You know, so if you have a $1,200 asset and somebody takes $4 out of it, you know, what does that do to the value of the company? And I think that Amazon's situation is a real test of capitalism versus, you know, ethics, regulation, things like that. You know, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend for a second that Amazon is doing everything right. That Amazon's doing everything that, say, a socialist would want them to do. I don't think that they're doing any of those things. They're not a socialist organization. But are they evil capitalists? I don't know. It's a matter of how you see it. I do know Amazon shareholders, when I look here, and I'll tell you the story that I've been reading in a second. But if you look at the last month of Amazon stock, I mean, the growth rate, let me see, it started a month ago at 23.76, and it reached a peak of 24.97, and it's at 24.36 right now. Over the last 6 months, Amazon stock has gone from 17.96 up to, as I mentioned, 24.36. So you're really talking about just some extraordinary growth. You know, if you were smart enough to have bought Amazon stock 5 years ago, you could have bought it for $429, and it's now 6 times greater than what the price was 5 years ago. And so I kind of wish I'd bought a lot more Amazon stock. In fact, I wish I'd bought it back in 2008, where it was $73 a share. And now you're talking about $2,400 a share. So imagine buying a house for $73,000, and then a few years later it's worth $2.4 million. That's a pretty good deal. So anyway, I'm going to read some of this to you and kind of talk my way through it in terms of breaking down what I'm seeing and hearing. If you're watching online, if you could hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. Also, if you want to join our Black Stock Market program, where we have all kinds of Q&As and stuff like that, feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. THE, that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month is actually $1, so you can try it out for $1. So anyway, here's it says a group of Amazon shareholders plan to press the company on its coronavirus safety measures at its annual meeting on Wednesday. Investors want Amazon to release a report detailing the outcomes of its investments in worker safety during the pandemic. Tensions have been growing among Amazon and workers at facilities across the country as the number of positive cases and deaths from the virus continues to rise. A group of Amazon shareholders listening to warehouse workers have raised alarms about safety conditions. The shareholders, who include the managers of pension funds in New York, California, and Illinois. Now, mind you, it's not a coincidence, I think, that these are states that are Democratic, right? Democratic states that view the pandemic, differently from the Republicans, right? So New York, California, and Illinois have been 3 states that have been really stringent about, the safety measures from the pandemic. Right now, I think they just hit 100,000 deaths, which is a big number on its surface. But one other thing you might want to consider, though, is if I were to look up the number of people that died from HIV/AIDS this year, it's probably in the hundreds of thousands. The number of people that died from heart disease is in the hundreds of thousands. So 100,000 is a big number, but in a nation of 330 million, the question is how big is it? Nobody knows. So anyway, moving on. It says tensions have been growing between Amazon and warehouse workers nationwide as the numbers confirmed of confirmed cases and deaths at its facilities have climbed. Warehouse workers have called for the company to put in place greater safety protections, including providing paid sick leave and closing down facilities where there are positive cases for additional cleaning. Amazon has repeatedly declined to disclose how many warehouse employees have died from the virus, but have confirmed 8 deaths as they were reported by various media outlets. Amazon's facing mounting pressure from attorneys general, senators, and advocacy groups to address workers' concerns, but the calls from some of the company's shareholders add a new layer of pressure. So this is interesting. This makes me think that Jeff Bezos at some point is going to end up, in front of the country. I don't think that our government is real serious about sort of taking on these companies, but they do sort of like to have the circus. They like to have the spectacle. So I think at some point they're going to pull Bezos in front of the country for the really big, Senate hearings, congressional hearings, whatever. And it's going to be a big deal. Everybody's going to talk about it. And then it's going to be like the Mark Zuckerberg hearings. Then it's going to go away. It's going to disappear. So I think that's what this is leading toward. That's my 2 cents. Ahead of Amazon's annual meeting, investors held an alternative shareholder event last Thursday to bring together investors and warehouse workers. The event was led by CTW Investment Group, an organization that works with a number of union-sponsored pensions that own about 890,000 Amazon shares. So they own 890,000 Amazon shares. Let me see how much money we're talking about here. 890,000. Okay, so that's about $2 billion worth of Amazon stock. Okay, I mean, it's significant. Again, the company's $1.2 trillion. I mean, that's such a huge number. Roughly 230 Amazon shareholders tuned in to Thursday's meeting to hear from Courtney Brown, an Amazon worker from New Jersey, Julian Marvell, an Amazon warehouse in Madrid, worker in Madrid, Andre Kirk, a former delivery driver who was fired after he raised safety concerns. Shareholders who spoke at the event acknowledged that Amazon had disclosed more information about internal conditions than it normally does, but they want details on whether the changes have actually improved worker safety. Quote, "What we are missing is the report on what is the impact of it," Anna Pott, head of responsible investments at for the Americas at Dutch pension fund manager APG Asset Manager, said in an interview. Last week, Pott co-signed a letter from Scott Stringer, the comptroller who oversees New York City's $211 billion in pensions, urging Amazon director Judith McGrath to explain the efficacy of Amazon's investments in coronavirus safety measures. As long as Amazon share owners with let me back up. As long-term Amazon share owners with $4.2 billion invested in Amazon shares on a combined basis, we are concerned by the potential disconnect between management's reported employee initiatives and these media reports regarding widespread COVID-19 health and safety concerns among Amazon employees. You are best positioned to speak to the board's independent oversight of COVID-19 related initiatives and investments at the annual shareholders meeting. Okay, so Amazon says that it's deployed 100 million masks, 34 million gloves, 48 million ounces of hand sanitizer, and thousands of janitorial staffers to improve safety at its facilities during the pandemic. The company has also committed to investing its expected $4 billion second quarter profit in coronavirus-related efforts, such as purchasing additional safety gear for workers and building out its coronavirus testing capabilities, among other things. So here's what's going on. So if you want me to read between the lines, I'm gonna break it down for you like this. Amazon is definitely feeling the heat from this because what tends to happen when you have an economic downturn like this is you have a lot of social uprising, social instability, because this pandemic has really spread the gap between the haves and the have-nots. One of the reasons why I encourage you guys consistently to become stock market investors is because investors are actually doing better in this pandemic than workers are. Workers, unfortunately, are struggling because the jobs are disappearing. Investors are making money because the value of their stock is going up. Now, what I will say to you is that when you're talking about, sort of what's going to happen with Bezos. I think that he's feeling the political heat. I think that he's also going to be obviously vilified because he's got so much money. And I honestly am even one of those people that says, my gosh, does a man need to have $138 billion in the bank? That's just so much money. So he's going to become kind of the poster child for inequality. And also Amazon is almost too smart, almost too logical, meaning that Amazon's, their thinking likely is to say, look, workers can come to work if they want to. They don't have to come to work if they don't want to. The odds of catching the virus are low. The odds of dying are pretty low as well. So if you don't want to come to work, that's okay, but just don't expect us to pay you not to come to work. And they're they're just sort of moving along, and they're making their money during the pandemic while everybody else is sitting at home. And is that right or wrong? It depends on how you view it. I'm not here to tell you that it's right or wrong. I'm just here to tell you what it is. And so as they're making all this money, and they're hearing from shareholders that are speaking out on behalf of the workers that are disgruntled about the coronavirus safety issues. I believe that these workers are speaking. These shareholders, these fund managers, are speaking because they represent pension funds that are connected to labor unions. And so what's happening here is you have these asset management companies that are saying, shit, Amazon's a great company. We can make a lot of money from this great company. But then they've got workers and labor unions saying they're a great company, but they're not a good company, right? They're great at making money, but they're not good at being good people, right? And so they're challenging the people that run these investment companies. And so as a result of this pressure, their pressure is leading them to say, okay, well, let's confront Amazon. We're going to confront Amazon. We're going to do our due diligence. We're going to pressure them. We're going to write letters, and we'll make it very public to let them know that we're not happy with what they're doing. But the reality is that the easy thing for them to do, again, if they were really serious, like if they really just wanted to just not deal with the issue, is divest, right? There are plenty of companies they can invest in that are not named Amazon that are shut down completely during the COVID-19 situation. That are just sort of like going overboard and not making any money right now. But they don't want to do that because they want Amazon's money. They just don't want their morals, right? They want the benefits, but they don't want the hard choices that Jeff Bezos and Amazon have had to make. Because again, why not just divest? Why not just pull your money out, yank? I mean, if you really want to make a statement, make an announcement. We have $4.2 billion invested in Amazon. We have now sold all those shares, and we're now buying shares in this other company that we think is more compliant, right? As opposed to staying inside the frying pan and trying to get them to turn down the heat. So I don't really believe. I believe honestly, and this is where, me just being real with you about how America works, and it's unfortunate, it's crazy, but it's true. Workers just don't win in this economy. The pensions, they pressure the fund managers to pressure Amazon, but really they don't want to pressure Amazon because they're like, look, you told us to go make you money. We're making you money. Amazon's making you money. So, but you're asking them to make money and still, act like the Democrats or the liberals at the same time, and they're not doing that. They're acting like moneymakers or capitalists, if you want to use that term. I don't like that term, but it's the term that's appropriate here. And so my long view on this is, even if they sold all their shares, Amazon stock might drop. It might take a hit. I don't think they're going to miss a beat. I don't think Bezos and the company are going to change anything. I think that what could change them, though, is if you had politicians that actually had the guts to challenge Amazon. But I don't think you have that because too many people are making money from Amazon. And what capitalism does, and overcommitment to capitalism does, is it forces you sometimes to make a hard choice that causes you to have to draw a line in the sand. Like at what point, how many lives, like you will say, like people, for example, people will theoretically say, oh, well, the loss of one life isn't worth $1 billion. But is it? If you knew that 10,000 people were going to die and you were going to make an extra $1 billion, how would that sit with you? And let's say that, those people can live and you get nothing. You're broke, right? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that those are the weird choices that capitalism forces people to make. So it's almost like a man saying, I love my wife and my side chick equally, but then Christmas comes up and you can't be two places at once. You got, it's hard to, maybe you could spend Christmas morning with your wife and Christmas night with your side chick, but really, both of those women may say, look, I want the whole day. Then you got to make a choice. Then people, then you have to admit to yourself what you really are. And I think at the end of the day, we have to admit that we have a capitalist society. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that it is what it is. And so if you want me to circle this back around to my advice to you, is to get in alignment with what the millionaires are doing. The millionaires are putting their money into stocks, real estate, and business ownership. Working for other people is fun and it's cute and it's nice for a while, but you want to own some sort of asset that's going to appreciate in value, because that's where all the income acceleration and wealth acceleration is occurring. Okay, guys, so that's it. That's my long yet short yet long analysis on the Amazon situation. I think Amazon's still going to remain strong. I think all in all, they are an incredibly well-run company. Are they good people? I'll leave that up to you to decide. I'm not here to talk about all that. I own Amazon stock, and I'm glad I own it because it's made a lot of money for me and my students, and I'm excited about that. So anyway, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, if you haven't learned to buy your first share of stock, you can learn for free. Just go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. And also, if you'd like to join my stock market investing program, I actually have a secret blog where my students can go to, and I answer every single question on the blog. And there's also hundreds of hours of amazing content that you can check out, as well as access to what Dr. Boyce is buying, which is a whole section where I explain all the stocks I'm buying and why and everything else. So if that interests you, feel free to give it a try. Go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on